Alright, here we go with my review of Transformers Prime Deluxe Class Ratchet. So let's get started here first by talking about the little bio here on the back of the package. So here it is, and I'm just going to read that off. It says here, just because Autobot Ratchet chooses to avoid fighting doesn't mean he never learned how. His intimate knowledge of anatomy allows him to strike with surgical precision, making a fight against him a very painful losing proposition. So that's his bio, and then real quickly here on the front, there's the artwork of him, pretty much how he looks like on the Transformers Prime show if you're not already familiar with that. So that's that. Now let's get started here talking about the toy here in the alt mode. So here he is in the alt mode, and this guy's kind of similar to the movie version of Ratchet in that it's a rescue vehicle of some kind. It's kind of modeled more after an SUV or a truck, like the way the movie one is, as opposed to the old G1 version where it was like a big van or like an ambulance kind of looking thing. So that's what his alt mode here is pretty much. And it's a pretty cool little alt mode. I like it. It rolls pretty well. A little lacking on the paint apps though. I wish they would have had an Autobot symbol on here somewhere painted on. And in the rear, there's no paint apps at all. They could have maybe painted in some taillights here. I think that would have helped to kind of break things up a little bit. But that's pretty much all there is here to the alt mode. A couple little nitpicks here. You can clearly see some of those little robot bits in there through the window. And at least on mine, it's kind of got this groove running down through the hood here, or the top of the car. So maybe the quality control is a little lacking here. So just a couple little minor complaints. Overall, it's a pretty nice alt mode. And let's flip them over here to the underside. And you can see here, you can store his little blade weapons there, which they were shown on the back of the package. And they just peg onto these little posts there. And let's talk about his little weapons here for a minute. They're a soft, flexible rubber type of plastic here, which is another little disappointment. I wish it maybe could have been a firmer or harder plastic. Even the bottom here is pretty flexible. And if you didn't notice again on the package there that we just saw, you can plug these in here to these little holes here, like so. So you can have them with his blades here sticking out of the front of the car, like that. Which I think is pretty ridiculous and kind of dumb in my opinion, but whatever. So that's something you can do with those. So let's get those out of the way and start talking about the transformation here. I do want to point out that this guy has a lot of little like tabs, like these little posts here. There's some in here you can kind of see in there. And when you're transforming him, you gotta use a little bit of force on this guy, and it kind of feels like it's going to want to break, and these may well end up breaking on you, some of these little tabs here, if you're not too careful. So just kind of keep that in mind. But to get started transforming this guy, you want to take this whole front end and just kind of pull it up like that, so it's going to kind of break loose here. So just, again, you're going to have to use a little bit of force and just kind of break it off like that. So you can kind of see in here, there's some of those little tabs there, and some there, those there for his weapons, some back in here. So these are going to be his legs, so you want to take this and just split it apart like that. And then these panels here, you got to rotate out of the way, but first you want to pull his little feet up like that, and then you can rotate these around like so. And like I was saying, these panels here got to kind of rotate back and then go down, so you got to kind of pull these and run this little arm and then push them down, this whole assembly down. And if we can see that in there, there's that little arm there. You want this surface right here to rotate all the way around and be flush with this edge right there. So just kind of do that. So rotate this like that, and then just rotate that all the way down. Just kind of straighten everything out. So let's do that again here. There we go. Let's just turn them around here. Just got to get this past that little edge. There we go. So there's his legs. And then just do his little heels here and just flip those out. Oops, flip that out. And now you got his legs pretty much all done. Let's kind of straighten them out a little bit more. There we go. So he does stand pretty well, which is always a good thing. Now his arms here, pretty easy. There's some little panels right here. You just flip these down like that. Same thing on this side. Be a little careful with these. These can kind of pop off here when you're transforming them, but they should just snap back on. And just pull this whole part out here. It's going to kind of bring out his arms and swing his shoulder assembly forward like that. Just kind of straighten this out. And there you go. See, it just popped off on me again. So that's something that's a little annoying about this guy. And let's see if I can get this to fit back on here. Again, there we go. So it's a little annoying. And then to reveal his head here, you just want to take this whole part here and just bend it down. And that's going to pop up his little head and just kind of bend it down, push it in like that. It's on a little spring in there. And then to finish his arms, basically these little flaps or panels, you just want to rotate around and then kind of fold up. Quickly do his little hands like that, just rotate them out. And there's some little tabs here you can kind of see. This folds up, keep folding, and kind of locks into place right here like that. So it's going to be kind of hollow, you can see in there, which is a little disappointing. I wish they could have maybe had something else to kind of fill them out there. His arms at least. So let's just kind of get everything straightened up here. And that's him now in his robot mode. So pretty easy transformation, but again, just kind of be a little careful with it. Some of those things will kind of maybe go flying off on you. At least that's how mine is. So let's zoom in here and take a little look at him up close. So pretty cool looking version of him. I like this. What I like about it the most is the fact that he's kind of boxy here. Just kind of pan down here, especially like in his legs and stuff. He's kind of got that sort of G1 style about him, but yet, you know, he's a prime figure or, you know, a modern figure. So it's kind of very G1 in style, which I like, and yet it's something different. And let's quickly just kind of zoom back in here and look at his head. I do like the head sculpt. It looks pretty cool. And I believe the eyes are light piped here. Yeah, there's, you can see the little blue back there. So if you get the light in there, those should show up nice and blue. And again, disappointing, no Autobot symbol anywhere on him. I can't remember if they're doing that on Prime, if they actually have faction symbols on them or not, but even if they don't have it on the show, I would like it on my toy. That's just me. So let's kind of pan on down here, look at him. So pretty cool looking. And let's kind of turn him around here on the side. So not a lot of kibble to him or stuff hanging off, other than this little back part here, but it kind of looks like a little backpack to him, so that's pretty cool. And it is kind of bulky here, like I said, the legs. So if you look at it from the back side, this is a little kibbly here. Not the greatest of looks, but I kind of like it because it does kind of lend it to that sort of G1 style about it. So yeah, so pretty cool. And then like I said, he's got his little weapons here, and those just can pop right in here on his little hands here like that. Those fit in there pretty well, holds them nice and secure. So he's got his little blade weapons like that, which is kind of cool. I do wish though that they would start giving these guys like actual guns and laser rifles and stuff, as opposed to all the swords and clubs and axes and things. I mean, the robots from space, give them some futuristic weapons, you know? Not just knives and clubs. But, you know, that's just me complaining. But anyways, so that's pretty much their, you know, his robot mode. Real quickly, articulation. The head here is ball jointed, but you're not going to get a whole lot of movement because of the little collar here. But it can look up and down and kind of pivot around. Shoulders are pretty well done, like so. You can rotate here at the upper, like bicep area. Can bend here. The hands can even kind of go up and down like that because of the transformation. The one cool thing I like about it, and you wouldn't really notice it offhand, it just looks like it's all one solid piece. It's really not. So he does have a waist rotation, so that's cool. It's always a nice thing. And then the legs here, ball jointed at the hips, swivel around, pivot, bend at the knees. Probably not going to get a whole lot of movement out of it because it is kind of bulky, and the feet can kind of go up and down because of the way it transforms. And like I said, one thing I really like about this guy, it does stand very well, which is always a nice thing, especially when you want to display your figures. So let's kind of line that back up. And real quickly, this little size comparison with some of the other Prime figures I've gotten so far. Here's him with Wheeljack. And for another little comparison, here's Soundwave in there. So he's, you know, roughly in scale with everyone, pretty much the same size. I think Soundwave obviously being a little bit taller and skinnier. But yeah, I'd say this is a pretty cool figure. I like it. It's a pretty cool looking version of Ratchet. I like the, especially like the robot mode. Alt mode's pretty good. Could be better. But the robot mode I think is the best part about him. Articulation's pretty good. The weapons I'm not too crazy about, but I like the design of it, just the look of it. I think it looks pretty good. So if you're a fan of Ratchet, I think this is a cool version to have of him. I just picked mine up about a week ago, so it should be in the stores now. Just kind of keep your eyes peeled. If you don't see it, I'm sure they'll start getting them in pretty soon. So yeah, it's a pretty good figure. I recommend getting them. And with that, I think I'll wrap it up here with my look at Transformers Prime Deluxe Class Ratchet.